As an attorney, there are so many reasons that I hear why you don't need a contract. So today we're going to talk about all the great ways that you can ruin your music career. I've been doing this for a real long time, and from the cases that start as just kind of misunderstandings, disputes, to the ones that actually do blow up into a lawsuit. Hopefully you never have to go through a lawsuit, but here's how it happens, and I'm going to talk all about it. Now, we're going to put this on the website. I will link it as we're talking through contracts, split sheets. I put one of these together for you so you have it. It's free, it's a download, so click the link down below in the description. But let's jump into it. The first one is like, trust is legally binding. We'll call this a myth, all right? So as much as I would love to say us sitting together and braiding our hair and having pinky promises that it's all gonna work out great, it doesn't work out very well, especially with your best friends. And let me give you some examples. I've had at least two cases that I can think of where it was literally a situation of best friends that had written music together or had worked together. And one of the friends went off, took the music, and did something with it, whether it was like putting it on music platforms or licensing it out or whatever, and never ever telling the other person, collecting all the money. And some of this stuff literally went on for decades while these people were friends. So when that kind of thing happens, and we need to now be like, oh my gosh, we just discovered that this person has been collecting like tens of thousands of dollars without informing you, that's a big issue, okay? But beyond that, we go, well, now we need to prove it. We need to prove like who made this stuff. So this is one of the strongest reasons why having a written agreement, so such as this split agreement, which is what this document is, it's just simply put down on paper what your understanding is. Because if you're working with someone and the understanding is that they're not supposed to get a percentage of what you're doing, that needs to be written down and clear. It's not just a good rule of thumb, it's literally to comply with the law and copyright law in particular. Another one, if you say, well, we're going to split everything 50-50, that's pretty common, right? You're working with someone and you're like, we'll just keep it equal down the middle, like we're on a studio break, we shake hands, so we have a verbal agreement. Well, is that good enough? Does that hold up in court? Here's the thing. If you have that kind of agreement with someone and then you come to me and you're like, well, we made the promises and then they broke it and now they're doing something else, or they're collecting all the royalties and they didn't pay me, or they didn't get permission of this and that. Well, verbal agreements are enforceable under the law. That's a good thing. Not so good when you call me up and you're like, hey, we now need to sue Johnny over here. And I'm just like, okay, we need to now prove what your verbal agreement was. So again, this is another reason why it's just a good idea to have a split agreement, have something in writing to confirm what you agreed to. Another one, the universe will just reward good people. Well, if that's the case, you don't need a written agreement, right? We're just going to align our chakras and the royalties will come and find you. Unfortunately, that's not typically how this works out, okay? And so another case, literally, I ended up in federal court over this for like a year and a half. This was kind of DIY record labels. You guys know this is what I do all the time. I love helping record label, or more importantly, producers, musicians, bands to become your own music business. So you become your own record label. So that was one of these situations. And the record label ended up doing really well and making a lot of money. And they hired someone to help, good friend, right? We all get along. And this person like designed the website, did the graphic design, pictures, like very talented person. And so they were paying this person, and let's just ballpark and say it was like $50,000. It was a lot of money, okay? They pay this person a lot of money over a long relationship, and they make just this huge mistake of not having a written agreement, because in this case, under copyright law, the way it works is that copyright law requires, it's going to spank you if you don't do this, right? It requires that you put in a written form what you agreed to. If you don't do that and you say, hey, Johnny is going to assign over to Miss Krystle the website, the text, the pictures, the music, whatever. If you don't do that, then under copyright law, Johnny still has his ownership, even though you paid Johnny $50,000. It's a small thing, but it's a huge thing. And so that's why we always say, at least in the capacity of you working creatively with someone that you love, the friends thing is a common denominator here. Nonetheless, we're going to put something in writing, and that something is going to at least be the split sheet that I'm giving to you, okay? If you're needing legal help with your career, your business, we got you covered. Feel free to reach out to my law firm. I'm honored to say we have over 100 5-star Google reviews. We offer free case evaluations, which just means that you can give us a call, you can email us, no commitment. We'll just see how we can help. We look forward to hearing from you. Some other things, verbal contracts, there can never be a misunderstanding, right? As long as we basically said one thing, there's never going to be a misunderstanding. That's not true. What happens is that you failed to talk about other stuff. What is each side getting? So you'll talk about some of those those things. We don't talk about other logistics on like decision making. Who gets to decide whether the song's going to a certain type of TV show? Who decides whether the music can be performed or we're going on tour, or who can pay out who to what company? And so this is where stuff just totally breaks down, because really it just started with a miscommunication or a lack of communication. And so it's not just being like, it's so great to have a contract and to make sure that we do the hard stuff here, because I understand it's not fun to talk about this stuff. It's kind of scary. And I'll tell you from my own personal experience, working with some of these amazing Grammy Award winning producers and all that, they're some of the worst. Like I come in, I'm like, hey, we need to have our little agreement. And sometimes there would be I just don't do written agreements. And that just puts you in a real awkward position, because you have to consider a whole bunch of things. You're like, well, what if I lose this opportunity because I'm going to be perceived as difficult? This person has more leverage. They don't want to do it this way. I don't want to be too pushy. And what I've just found is that the people who they take themselves really seriously, those are the ones who are going to be like, oh no, we really do need to write down our agreement, to at least have a split sheet, have a contractor agreement, have a featured artist agreement, just to have something, because probably they've been screwed over in the past. I promise the people who are like, no, I don't ever do written agreements, is either a lack of experience or there's something real shady going on. In my practice, what I can share is that you would be shocked of the major bands and artists that do business this way still, and they fall into one of those two categories that I just referenced. All right, lawyers kill the creative flow though, right? If I have to go get a contract, that's gonna kill the vibes. No, I can sue later, right? No big deal, we'll just deal with it. And my favorite, I'm not famous yet, who cares? Well, if you're not doing this to be successful, if you're not doing this because you think that your thing can actually go somewhere, you are lying to yourself, because you cannot determine what happens. You just can't. And we hope for the best. And so you always just want to set yourself up for success, because where I get into the weeds with clients is usually on stuff. Had they just done the thing in the beginning, had they just gotten their little split agreement, had they just gotten their little collaboration agreement in place and just had that uncomfortable 15-minute conversation, gotten the thing signed, sent it via DocuSign, whatever you're going to do, it would have saved them like $10,000. You know what I'm saying? So in why artists don't need to get contracts, those are some of the best arguments I have ever heard. We've also discussed other great ways to ruin your career. So if that was as exciting for you as it was for me, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Top Music Attorney.